Hey everyone, and welcome to the All Elite Zone podcast on YouTube and Twitch. We're here for our AEW Dynamite live reaction, but here we go. As we mentioned, an hour before Dynamite, we're having ROH star O'Shea Edwards on for an interview, and that's what we're doing here now. Thanks for joining us, O'Shea. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Give me one second. Hey, here we go. No, guys, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You might not remember me, but I used to be a booking agent seems like a long time ago. You were one of the top guys I wanted to book, but stuff happened. I'm no longer with that thing. But you were like the number one prodigy I wanted to book, and it's great to see you higher up in wrestling now. This is a few years ago that I contacted you about all that. But you were with ROH a little bit with Shane Taylor Promotions. You've been all across the world. But yeah, like Adam, do you want to start us off with the first question?
Yeah, like we do. O'Shea, nice to meet you. Got to watch a couple of your highlight reels, man. And man, I'm impressed. I love big guy wrestling. I'm a big fan of it. I was a big fan of Vader back in the day, and all those big guys. But I guess the question we always start with on here is, what got you into wrestling? What kind of drew you to professional wrestling?
Well, man, I've always been a creative kid growing up. I found out that I could draw at a very early age. So, I entered a time where I thought I would be an artist. And then I realized artists don't make any money. And I was like, okay, never mind. Let's do something else. I still draw to this day. Like, I have a few sketch pads I keep around the house. And when the moment hits, like, I sketch something out. But I've always been an athlete. Been an athlete since as long as I can remember. I remember playing soccer, then baseball, then basketball, wrestling, football. And I'm like, oh boy, we're on to something here, boys. Let's keep this up. But I've always been a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since over 30 years, man. I just aged myself horribly, but that's okay. But I still remember when, oh my God, I'm about to date myself. I still remember vividly when Raw came on TV for the first time. I remember it. I remember it. And I remember going, yeah. And I remember going, what in the hell is this? I grew up in Atlanta, so we really didn't get WWE at the time. All you got was WCW, man. And you got that on Saturday. You got that Saturday afternoon, and then you got it Saturday night. And if you were lucky, you might catch something on Sunday. But this is a time where cable TV was popping up in everybody's house, where you didn't need a box, you had to screw it into the wall. God, I'm old. And then, you had cable. And I just remember you watching USA and Monday Night Raw coming on for the first time and just having the back of my head just blown off.
Did we lose O'Shea?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
What was the last thing you heard? I'm sorry, I didn't realize I froze out.
The last, if you're lucky, you catch something on Sunday.
Yeah. So when usually, so in Atlanta, you had WCW. That was kind of the only show in town. Then here comes cable, where you had to plug it into the wall. You didn't need to box or anything. And I remember seeing like 8 or 9 years old, seeing Monday Night Raw for the first time, and have the back of my head just blow off. Like, what is this? This is awesome. My dad took me to my very first show. I went to Madison Square Garden, watched a house show, and I remember seeing Ahmed Johnson in the flesh, and lost my mind. Like, I don't, as a kid, your dad's your superhero, but I remember seeing Ahmed Johnson, looking at my dad, and I'm like,
yeah,
I think he can beat you up. Like, I've always been a fan. I'll always be a fan of wrestling. Getting a chance to actually do it, man. If you could tell the 8-year-old me that, hey, man, you're gonna have one hell of a life. It's gonna, you're gonna be a big part of wrestling. I'd probably call you a liar.
Well, yeah. So my first question kind of leads off to the first question. What wrestlers influenced you on becoming a professional wrestler?
I'm a fan of so many different people, but as I kind of can progress in my career, those influences, people can tell. I'm influenced by Ron Simmons. I'm sorry. I'm influenced by Butch Reed, Stan Hansen, Greg Albright, Tully Blanchard, Stan Hansen, and a lot of these, and Vader, and all these guys, like, and I mean like old 1980s All Japan stuff, where just grown men were just beating the living piss out of one another. And because we live in an age of YouTube and all that, it's all at my fingertips. So I influence now, man, a lot of the old 80s All Japan stuff. But as a kid, man, like, you couldn't tell me, like, I love The Rock. I thought Stone Cold Austin was the man. I thought Triple H was the shits, because I just thought he was just a piece of shit. But I was a fan, so it was whatever. I wouldn't tell that to his face, but I'm like, no, man, as a kid, I hated your guts. That's what you want. But now I see both sides of it, man. It's it's fun to find new old stuff as it may.
Yeah, and following up with that, with all these, veterans within the professional wrestling industry, is there a time or a moment you can remember in your career when one of these veterans, came up to you and told you something, or gave you some good advice, or kind of critiqued you on something? Can you remember a moment that you might have met, like a veteran within the pro wrestling game, that actually kind of gave you that guidance?
Yeah, man. The first guy who really, well, there's a handful of people. Let me start that, and it's kind of a two-part question, because I like to think my career kind of has like two chapters right now, and that first chapter is when I was back in Georgia. Guys like Murder One from NW Wildside days, really took me under and really kind of taught me, like, hey man, like, what you're doing is fine, but you can be doing so much more. Even with the phrase less is more, it was still, hey man, you can be doing so much more of nothing. And then guys like Sugar Dunkerton, or most people know Pineapple Pete. Like, I still call him weekly. But it wasn't until I got up here, and I'll leave ROH out because that's cheap, that's easy. The first time Homicide pulled me aside and talked to me, that was the first time where I had to swallow everything not to be a fan. I was just like, oh my God, it's Homicide. Oh my God, it's Homicide. But I had to, like, nope, you're at work. Yes, let's talk about it. And he pulled me aside, and he gave me some real good ideas, some real things I need to be looking for, some things I could be doing better. And it was real. Like I said, I take criticism very well. I'm professional, so I know he wasn't like being malicious or anything like that. I'm like, okay, no, he's talking to me as a peer right now, dude. Listen, So, but yeah, those guys that first could pop off my head. Of course, within Ring of Honor, I could be here all day, but just on the independent scene, like, those are the ones who really, like, who to me, they're my OGs.
So yeah, I guess my next question is can be a bit, not gonna be controversial, but I see a lot of wrestlers today that really cannot take criticism, maybe on in ring work, or I see a lot of on social media. What do you think about wrestlers taking constructive criticism? 'Cause I know sometimes you have guys that just want to start something on social media, but there's also like some very helpful like wrestling coaches that want to constructive criticism.
Um, it, you can only accept criticism if you're open to accept, unless you're open to it. And that's within all things, wrestling aside. Like, you have to have an open mind, and not sound too hallmarky, but an open heart to accept, like, somebody's not going to like it, and that's okay. You can't seek the approval of everybody, because you're never going to get it, man. You're never going to get it. But at the same time, this is the one thing that it gets lost, is we're professional wrestlers. It's what we do. We are professionals. Trust me. You don't think that somebody from the Kansas City Chiefs is bitching right now because, like, oh man, the coach talked to me some sort of way. Dude, you are a professional. And when you are a professional, you are held to a higher standard than everyone else around you, because you are a professional. Like, you cannot spell professional wrestler without the word professional. And some people just kind of just like, yeah, I'm a pro wrestler. It's like, are you a pro wrestler? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it also depends on how that criticism comes. Once again, I don't ask a lot of people for critique, and it's nothing personal. It's just there's people who I trust who will shoot me straight. who I know for a fact they aren't coming at me once again like maliciously. They're not coming at me with some sort of like agenda. They want me to get better, because if I get better, the guy across me gets better, the match gets better, the entire show gets better, and everybody wins, which ultimately that's what we want. We want the entire show to be better. We want to be able to have a great show so we can make more money. God forbid we be professionals. So when it comes to criticism, like it's for me, it's easy. Just because I come from athletics. I'm used to being coached. I'm used to being like coached down to a molecular level to where I didn't think any more existed. Oh, well, here's some more, and because I want to get better. I'll forever be a student of the game, regardless of how many years I've been here. So I'll always want to learn. I always want to get better, because once again, if I get better, the more money I can make, which I kind of thought was the goal.
Yeah, and I actually like that because I mean, me growing up, I also came from athletics. I did football, wrestling. I grew up coaching wrestling, soccer, lacrosse, all this stuff. So my family and I all sports. So of course, I love your take on that. And to follow through with that, with the question being the professionalism within the industry, the matches you've had. Is there one opponent, the one guy you've worked with in the ring that the professionalism is so leveled with each other that you're like, man, we're putting on a match right now, a great match? Can you think of that one person you have that chemistry in the ring with?
John Davis. John Davis. Man, I was at my biggest when I was 302 pounds when I wrestled John Davis. I was a hefty boy. And man, I had to earn it because I was tired when it was all said and done. But no, man, I've been wanting to work with him for the longest time, because he was the guy to me, at least within my style of wrestling that I call it, like he was the benchmark. And it wasn't about like trying to set a new benchmark. It was like, yo, can I compete on that type of level? And it's not so much, oh, because we're doing on this big stage. It's like, no, man, because this is the match that I wanted. Like, to me, like, I want to be like you, just, and John knows, like I told him to the face, I was like, but I want to be a better, more successful version. Like, there was no ill will when I said it, but it was true, because I know eventually somebody's coming after me because they want to be a better and a more successful version of me. And why wouldn't I want that? The entire business gets better. I think I'm the shit. So I'm like, cool. Somebody else wants to be better. Yeah, come on, man. Let's go. Because if you get better, I get better. And then, from there, we can put on some magic.
So my next question is, what are your thoughts on the new ROH, run by, of course, Tony Khan?
Man, it's great, man. Anytime there's another avenue for, the everybody in the back to like put their, craft on display, especially on that type of level with that type of production and, that type of money behind it, like you love it. You love to see it, man. I was heartbroken when ROH closed, probably because I was on the phone call, my heart broke because I left everything to get up here. And, but if somebody asks me would I do it again, in a heartbeat, man, in an absolute heartbeat. So when I found out that, Rich got bought, man, I thought it was great. I will never knock it. Never. I will never knock any type of wrestling, just because guys have a chance to do what they want to do. Why would I ever hate on that? That makes me look petty. And if I'm going to be petty, I'm not going to do it on social media. So it's just like, I'll keep it to myself.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, ROH, we had Tony Deppen on not too long ago, and I asked him this question because we lost a great man, great wrestler in Jay Briscoe. During your time there, I asked Tony this question. I'll ask you: was there any great positive interaction you had, with Jay back in Ring of Honor?
Man, both of them were really instrumental on getting the guys who were in the dojo, man. He was instrumental in like getting us out there, giving us the opportunity, because without them we don't make it as half as far as we gotten. They were the ones pushing for all of us to, hey man, come on, man, these guys are putting up the ring, they're doing this, they're doing that, like throw them a bone, come on. Like, what's the worst is going to happen? They succeed? Oh no. So like they really gave us a chance to like shine. They put on matches with few of us, man, and those guys would come to the back, man, just grinning from ear to ear. I did a rumble with Mark, and me and him were just going back and forth, back and forth. And I was, like I said, I was a kid, man. I just listening to him, I'm like, yo, this is absolutely amazing. We get backstage, and Jay comes up and goes, hey man, that you work with my brother was fun. I'm like, yeah, man, I want to do that again. He goes, oh, we'll make that happen. And I'm like, don't play with me, man. Like, don't play with my feelings like that, But they were great, man. They like wrestling has a hole in it because of what they did for everybody in that locker room, everybody for that company. Man, I hate the fact that like this is how we have to talk about him. That dude had so much more to give the world of wrestling. He has so much more to give to his family. I was gutted that I couldn't make the funeral because I had prior, engagements on like good stuff, man. But like you asked me about, the Briscoes, you asked me about Jay, you asked me about Mark. I'm like, yo, those were good men.
So then the follow up of that, I mean, obviously we know the history of, behind the scenes stuff of networks and everything like that, where they have handpicked of who they want on television, who they don't. So what was your reaction that Mark Briscoe finally made it on television with a match on AEW against, of course, another legend of Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal?
Man, here's the thing about greatness, man. It's also about success, man. It's better late than never. Better late than never. The whole world got to see what like a lot of us already knew. The whole world got to see what a lot of us already bared witness to. So for me to see Mark on that stage, whole time I'm like, yeah, dude, of course Mark's gonna crush this. Why would Mark crush this? Mark crushes this everywhere. Like this is just a Wednesday, it's a Wednesday. But of course, like it meant so much more because of everything that's going on. But in my mind, I'm like, yo, this is where Mark wants to be. Why would he? Why would he want to be here right now? So for me to see him on TV, man, and wrestle Jay of all people, of course he would. It was great, man. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fitting. I thought it was well overdue. But like I said, man, the same thing about a doctor makes a 70 and a doctor makes 100. You still call him a doctor. So I'm like, hey, man, you're here now. And that's all that counts.
Yeah.
So my next question is, you were in Shane Taylor Promotions for a little bit towards the end of Ring of Honor. How was your experience with O'Shea Edwards?
Man, those guys are great. Those guys really gave me a platform to really shine and to really kind of like do the things that I do best, and to be in that group with all of them. There's nothing like it, man. It's just one of them things, man, where you have a group of individuals and are all after the same thing, and instead of simply just like cut and bait and run from one person, we just lift everybody up, and then when that happens, everyone's attributes get magnified. Everything that everybody does well now becomes great. And then even the stuff they, don't do great, they're still awesome at it because everyone else around them, man. I love those guys. Like, I love them. Of course, group chats rule the world. So, like, of course, I'm in a group chat with them, and all we do is cut up and goof off. And, we wish nothing but the success for everybody because, like, they're my friends. Why wouldn't I want my friends to succeed?
So, you've been in the business for a while now. So now you've kind of climbed up to that. I can probably teach a younger generation of professional wrestlers coming in. Is there someone that's an up and comer right now that you've worked with or worked a show with that you look at this wrestler and you're like, wow, this kid's got something. I want to work with this kid because I feel like we can make magic in the ring or give him some advice. Is there someone that you could think of that, up and coming, that you can think?
I really wouldn't call him up and coming, but I do say like we're in the same class that kind of came out into the independent scene. But man, I think like first and foremost, guys like Jade Newman out of Chattanooga, man, that dude's been everywhere, man. We got to travel out of the country for the first time together in Canada, only to hop on a plane 2 months later and both go to Germany together. He just got back, I believe, a day or two ago from the UK tour. He's got to go back to WXW next month, I believe. So if there's anybody out there whose success I want more than my own, it's Jade Newman. He's there's a shot clock on him. Like when he's there, he's not going to be around anymore, and a lot of people are going to be real upset that you didn't get in on that ground level. I think the sky's the limit for him, and I think the more, like I said, the matches he's had, with especially guys like Gresham. Come on, it didn't seem like he just hung in there. Like there was times he was setting the pace, and I thought it was great. I cheer for him so loud and often.
Yeah, I kind of marked that when you said Jay Newman. I've known him for a while. Do you know who Sage Phillips is by any chance?
Yeah, I know Sage.
Logan James.
Yes.
Wow. I think y'all all came the same.
That's
to me.
That class, of wrestlers that
yeah.
came all at once.
Like to me, like
that I came out with. I keep up with everybody, and I'm super proud of what everybody's accomplished out of that. Like I said, that class of wrestlers that kind of came out. There's been a few that kind of like fell off and all that good stuff, but that happens with all things, man. But the people that are here, man, I love them. I root for them so loud.
Yeah. So I guess my next question is, have you been contacted by the new ROH? Come in or?
I have, but it's been just preliminary conversations, all that good stuff. Like I heard about the tapings going down. That's once again, everybody's going down there. I wish them nothing but all the love and all success in the world. Like I said, my time comes, it'll come. But until then, it's like I don't have any control over that. So it's just like, why get upset or pissy or use social media to say something really dumb about something I don't have any control over, because you can lose a shot well before you even get it.
Or you could be doing a like Andrew Garfield on us. Never know.
I wish. Trust me. If I was going, I'd tell you.
So I'm gonna actually go back to some of your love for growing up with professional wrestling. What was the one match you remember as a kid watching, either live or on pay-per-view or whatever, that you saw and you're like, this match is awesome? Like, can you think of your favorite match?
Easy. Shelton Benjamin, HBK, Gold Rush, Monday Night opener. You kidding me? I love that match only because there was one guy in the crowd. Like, that place was packed, but they were wrestling for one person, and that dude was in the entire time. And I end up watching him more than I do the match sometimes, probably because I've seen the match so many times. But I always love that moment where that dude just loses his absolute shit, because that's the type of fan that I'm after. That's the type of reaction I want to garner, on regardless of the stage. I want to give somebody that moment where they just look around and goes, holy shit, did you see that? That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's not because he did it, it's just because of the fact of like the build up to that one point. He will remember it for forever. Like, of course, I'll always know who won, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. And that match was awesome. That match was great. And I did have the opportunity to tell Shelton Benjamin that to his face. And he looked at me like, you really love that match? I'm like, homie, that was the match that made me want to become a professional wrestler.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I remember my moment on that match too. Like I said, I'm showing my age as well. Okay. So, that match, the moment that it happened, just that whole front row right there by the ring, I just saw them pop up. I fell out of my seat and I screamed like on the top of my lungs. And my mom asked me, what just happened? I go, watch.
What?
I was like, this was awesome.
This is like, so I go back and watch every once in a while, man. And it was like these little nuances in that match of just like how Shelton proved that, like, while Shawn Michaels is a better sports entertainer, Shelton Benjamin, a legitimate wrestler. And there were so many times you just counter him, just look at him, just kind of go, and I'm just like, ooh, this is going to get good. And then the minute he shows off, man, he just gets his head blown off his neck. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was so cool. And then JR and the King put it over huge, man. It's such a awesome layered thing, man. I might watch that after I get on the phone with you guys.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite spots.
I think that one move has showcased for Monday Night Raw for years. Yeah. I don't know if they showed it for the Raw 30. Mike Morris was the Hulk Hogan fan that pointed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember the yellow Hulkamania shirt. He had a red bandana, and when he connected, that dude just went like this. it was
He actually pointed too. I remember
Yeah.
that. He pointed. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "You're done."
oh, because he was front row center, man. The best
Front
seat.
row.
So speaking of Shelton Benjamin, what was your favorite Shelton Benjamin match? Well, besides the Shawn Michaels one, what's your favorite Shelton Benjamin match?
Shawn Michaels. I have a few. Shelton Benjamin, Triple H was really
That's a
good.
one.
It was proven that he can hang on that level. Yo, man, anything with him, the world's greatest tag team, sign me up, man. Sign me the fuck up, man. Really. You give me world's greatest tag team in their prime against FTR, homie,
Yes.
take my money. Take all of my
Yes.
money, please. And just keep doing it. I'll tell you when to stop. Just keep doing it. Like that, to me, that's my little in the back of my head. Like if I had ultimate booking power and money was no object and I get anybody from any point in time, that's what I want. I want that right there.
I mean, I'd have to agree with you. And then some of the spots Shelton did in the Money in the Bank matches were probably some of the climbing the ladder, doing the flip to the outside, jumping on the ladder, trying to climb. Some of his spots in those matches were just unbelievable.
He's a video game character. He's to me, he's the first video game character, and then only to follow by like Rob Van Dam and Ricochet. But other than that, like dude's a video game. He's a video game character.
So current wrestlers now, I'm gonna say you're a big dude, O'Shea. I've seen some of your highlights, man. You big dude. You beat up some people. Which big guy wrestler today would you like to go just monster to monster in a match with?
Most recently, apparently Dr. Wagner's son just debuted in Japan. I want that dude so bad. The funny thing is, man, I have a list of guys. And then I got realized who I've already wrestled and all that good stuff, man. Here's a name that no one's had that I'll kind of throw out there. Ron Bass Jr. He's fun. He'd be a lot of fun. You give me Juicy for 2. You give me Jacob for 2. That'd be great. I'd love to get in the ring with Hammerstone. I'd love to get in the ring with him so much. That'd be just a treat. Man, I could be here all day. I could be here all day with this, man. In a world far, far away, I would love to be in Japan with Jeff Cobb. Like that, I think I get to show show some chops that I don't really get to show off that much. But there, I feel like I can do it.
I would love to see that match because I've seen Jeff Cobb live when he wrestled with AAW, and I'm just like, this guy's a beast. This guy's awesome. Yeah.
I saw him, and even though his name's problematic right now, but I saw a match live because I was on the show with him. Jeff Cobb and Michael Elgin, and I was just like, oh dear Lord, I want all of this. And I thought it was great.
I want to read this one comment. Mike Morris, any dream matches you would want but can never happen? I guess meaning guys that's passed or
oh man, Butch Reed, Stan Hansen, Ron Simmons. Hell, I'll wrestle Ron right now. And I would love to wrestle Vader. I'd love to wrestle Vader, and just because his SummerSlam interest will always be great, man. I would really love to wrestle someone.
What about Yokozuna?
Yeah, once again, man. Once you're over 250, bring them on. Let's go. You're over 250. Let's go. Let's wrestle.
Did you have another question, Connor? You want me to go or?
Oh, you can go.
Okay.
Like that was actually my question I was going to ask, but someone asked it. So.
Yeah.
Well, the viewers have their questions ready. So, another question that, I mean, right now you're kind of just where you're at right now. Is there a dream place? I know all these people are saying this. I've reached the big times when I've reached this company or this promotion. Do you see yourself there, or you just go day by day and just like, look, I just like doing my professional wrestling, whatever?
A little bit of both. Because once again, man, it's some of that stuff so outside of my control. I can't really do anything about it. I came up here to wrestle Ring of Honor. hands down. If I could, hey man, you could be in one place and you're here forever. Ring of Honor, please. That's where I want to be. I've talked a lot of shit to get on Ring of Honor, and I came through with it, and I'm not done. There's so much more that I want to show. There's so much more I want to do. There's so many more stories I want to tell, and I believe that Ring of Honor, I can do it there. It's never an issue of money with me. Don't get me wrong, money's nice, but it's not the end all be all. I'm wrestling because I'm having fun, and I'm wrestling because I'm pretty good at it. And so the minute I stop having fun, the minute I'm not that good at it anymore, like I'm going to go home. But until then, I want to be on the biggest stage that I can, get on. And right now, for me, the one stage I want to be on is Ring of Honor.
Yep. So there goes again. I'm not gonna show the comment, but it's my next question. Where's your favorite city to wrestle in?
Nashville, hands down.
Nashville.
Nashville, awesome. Nashville ran Southern Underground Pro out there, Basement East. That's my home away from home. I love that place. I was dubbed the adopted son of Nashville, and I was told, like, hey, if it's like we were so sad that you got to leave, but if for whatever reason, like, Maryland doesn't work out, dude, come move. They're like, come to Nashville. And I was like, yo, man, I'm ready for it. I was there in the last year for my wife's birthday. But no, man, Nashville's great. Nashville's a wrestling town through and through. I just wish they had more of it. Man, that place rocks, man. Nashville's so cool.
No, I totally agree. Believe it or not, I used to live in Tennessee for 4 years. So I lived in Clarksville, which is about 45 minutes west of Nashville. But I went to an AEW show. That's how I met Connor here, was an AEW show in Nashville.
Nice.
So I'm glad that you mentioned Nashville as one of your favorite wrestling cities, because honestly, I agree. Man. I feel like it should be a bigger wrestling city than it is. As far as very, yes. And speaking of history, this is just a fun question for me, and I might start asking more wrestlers to come on here. What is your favorite designed wrestling belt of all time?
Okay, so it's a two-way tie between Big Goldie, and then the previous IWGP World Heavyweight title. I don't know why, but I love that thing. Oh, it's gorgeous to me. It's between those two. Like, give me one of those two, I'm super happy.
So have you ever wrestled like internationally?
Yeah, I was in Canada in August for 3D Pro out in Winnipeg. That was as far as Canada I've ever been. I've been to Toronto, but that was pretty far that. And then I got the opportunity to go to Germany with Jaden and a handful of others for WXW. We did a offshoot show with them during the World Tag League. Man, brother, I can't wait to go back to Germany. You kidding me? Oh my God, that was a time and a half in the short time that I was there, man. I felt welcomed, I felt accepted, like nothing but love from so many different people coming from so many different places, just because they all love wrestling. Like, that's the type of place where if I'm not like at home in bed with my wife, like, I am super happy, because I get to be around the things I want. If I can't be around the person I want to be around with, put me around the things I want to do, I'm super happy.
And that includes New Japan Pro Wrestling would be a great option for you as well.
And listen, I'm net. You stamp my passport. Just stamp my passport. I'll go wherever you.
Now going back to your youth, what out of all the sports you did, what was your favorite sport to do?
Football. Football was great. Football, as much as it was a team sport, man, each position was its own battle, and sometimes you just had to win enough battles to ultimately win the war, because like I said, man, I come from a team. Everything I do has always been a part of a team. So, like, when we're in the trenches, I always trust the guy next to me to do his job, because I knew he was trusting me to do my job. Wrestling was fun, but that's, like I said, it's one-on-one, man, and that's a whole different monster, man. But football, man, there was nothing like imposing your will, like a group of people imposing their will on another group of people, and they can't stop you.
Well, here's one of our other AZ. We're always on member. He'll be on later, but who is your pick to win the Super Bowl?
Honestly, man, I'm a Ravens fan, and my team was already knocked out, so I really didn't give two crap. Um, I wanted both teams to have a good time. No, I wanted a real good game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I was like, please, dear God, don't let Philly win because I will never hear the end of it if Philly wins. It was a good game, man. It was close. It was close. I hate the fact that it ended the way it did, but at the same time, like I said, I tell people, hey, man, you want that ref to call the game from whistle to whistle. He got flagged. It's not the ref's fault. Like he's to sit there and say, "Oh, it's a poorly ref game." I'm like, yeah, that's an excuse, man. That's an excuse. Like they call the game. Just it happened with Cincinnati, Kansas City. Guy hit Mahomes out of bounds, and they called it. He's like, "Oh, you can't call that." Yes, you can. He screwed up. You throw the flag. If that's the way the game is. That's the way the game ends. It's not his fault. He just called the foul. But no, it was a good game. I just want it close. I'm more of a college football guy. Go Dogs, but big Georgia Bulldogs man. So 2 in a row, baby. Let's go. This is how it feels. Like dynasty, this is how it feels. It's awesome. But like I love like good close football game. I'm all in.
I'm glad you're a Georgia fan, not a Bama fan. Thank God. I can't speak much. I'm a Notre Dame fan. We're struggling.
Hey,
Now, being in professional wrestling, as we are, we're talking with sports. It's the fans. What is the best fan story you've had from someone of yours at a show or someone interacting with you at a show? What's the best fan interactions you've had?
Somebody gave me custom art. They painted a picture for me, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh man, I drew, yeah, I painted you, and it was huge. Like I had it framed somewhere else in the house, but I thought it was so cool, man. The fact that somebody would take their time out of their day and use their God-given talent to do something like that for me, and like I didn't even ask for it, but it was one of. I was so happy I drove because man, if I flew, I don't know how I was gonna get this thing home, but no, it was cool, man. Stuff like that, man. Believe it or not, man, I'm real low key. Like off the camera, off social media, I'm real low key, man, because that's why I like to be. You know, I'm private when I'm I'm public when I have to, but if I can stay private, I'm just gonna be a private individual. But the fact that like people would do stuff like that, man, it takes me out of it, and I get like real humble, and I get real bashful, like. Why would you do this for me? Like, what is this? It's my own nonsense I'm trying to work through. But for what it is, man, like, yeah, when people actually make stuff and like, hey, man, this is for you. Like I say, to this day, I still get like, yo, that is so cool because I couldn't have done that.
And it's probably more meaningful because you said you grew up as an art, like you like drawing, so it meant more.
Right. So like from artist to artist, like it means so much. I'm like, wow, I'm doing my form of art and for you, and you took your time out and you made your own art for me. It is like just a little trade. And I'm like, yo, this is so cool, man. Thank you. Like I keep a lot of that stuff like real close. I don't really show that stuff off just because like that's for me. This is mine. I have a memory for this, and I'm never gonna I'm never gonna like share that. That's for me. Like even in the room I'm in now, this is my wrestling room. I have like posters of flyers that I was on that people got for me. Say, hey man, I got you this flyer, and I frame them, and I get people to sign them, all that stuff, man. To me, that's my picture. A lot of people say, hey, get the picture. For me, I'm like, you get the poster, get the flyer. That's what.
So my next question is, where did you train at to become a wrestler, and how was your training process in wrestling?
Sure. I first started in Kennesaw, Georgia, with Johnny Swinger. Like he was my first coach. It wasn't where I had to pay like it was a lot of money. It was really just a drop in. Hey man, I'll teach you the absolute basics, let you have some fun, and then just go whatever. So I'm like, oh, cool, man. Why not? I've always said I would love to try this, so let's go for it. Apparently I had a knack for it. Like, how about that? Because of football, because of wrestling, because of track and everything else, like I have great body control. I know where my feet are at all times. I know exactly where my body is at all times. I can move myself. However, did a few shows. Oh God, thankfully that tape does not exist because those were rough. Boy. But eventually I got linked up with some students from the Robert Gibson School out in Douglasville. And then I started going over there with Swinger's Blessing. He even told me, he goes, no, go over there. Like, you need to go over there because he's going to teach you so much more than I know. Like, he even said he's forgotten more than I'll ever know. So go over there. And man, that was a time, man. Only way I can remotely like describe it is like 2 days in college. Like when you got there was no time for the bullshit. There was no time for the games and time for the grab ass. Like, no, man, when you got in here, you changed, you stretched, and let's get to work. And that's why I just loved it, man. That's why I just put my head down and just grind and try to find out like who I am as a wrestler. And it was, once again, man, those are times I'll never forget.
Yeah, no, and we always love hearing how everybody got their start and where they went and got trained at. Now we got something coming along. I know we don't. Mostly we're here. We talk about AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. We don't talk a lot about WWE much. But I want to get your take on. It's a 2-part question. You said you grew up watching the first Raw. I mean, that's what I got into wrestling was Raw and everything like that. With WrestleMania coming up this year, pretty soon. It's a few months away. What was your favorite wrestling match from WrestleMania, and what would be a dream match for WrestleMania if you could make one?
Okay.
That's a good question.
It's between Stone Cold and Rock in Houston and Hogan Rock in, was it Seattle? Yeah, it's Seattle.
It was Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. If I had to choose between those two for the sake of the story, man, Rock and Stone Cold couldn't be beat. Man, the fact that wasn't the main event. It wasn't the main event. I was just like, buddy, how are you guys going to beat this? But like as a fan though, man, Rock and Hogan, how they just stood there for 2 minutes and did nothing, and the place was like threatening to collapse. Come on. And as I watch it, I'm like, these guys didn't do anything. These guys thing. This place was ready to riot, and I was I'm in for it. I'm in for that type of stuff, man. But if I could book, ooh, that's fun, man. If I could book, okay. If I could book it, I would want triple threat with a world title. Give me Roman. Give me The Rock, and give me Eddie Guerrero.
Oh yeah.
And I'd have Eddie over. I put Eddie over. Eddie would be the guy. Yeah. And the story is just him just trying to, he never beats Roman. He just finds a way, he sneaks out of it always. Like even the way he wins, it's dubious, but he's so over. The fans don't give a shit. And Roman's pissed because he didn't get beat. And that's the story until we finally pay it off. But yeah, that would be my Mania. That would be my Mania night 2, like main event. Actually, no, I keep Mania one night and that'd be it. That'd be my main event, right?
I think I teared up when Eddie Guerrero won the world title in 2004 at No Way Out. I was like, he finally won a world title.
Yeah, it was absolutely great, man. Even though the cup of coffee he was in for Ring of Honor was still great, man. People knew what they had. People knew what they had when they had it, man, and it showed. It really is. Like those matches are just absolute wonders to watch.
So I want to read this next question. Ethan, what was the most unusual match you've been in?
Unusual and unusable works both.
Unusable.
I think he meant unusual, like the most unusual. Yeah.
Well, it's not so much unusual, but how it started was unusual. I was doing a show in Georgia, and we're doing a triple threat against these 2 kids. I don't even know who they are, but I knew something should have been wrong when everybody made a big deal that I was there. And at the time, I don't think I'm a big deal. So sometimes I'm like, oh, O'Shea's here. So what? Whatever. Who cares? Whatever. So we're putting together this triple threat, and the guy who's supposed to go over keeps leaving. I'm like, hey,
Oh.
man, come on, we're trying to talk. He would come back and he would leave. He'd come back, then he would leave. Then apparently his girlfriend or his wife shows up with a baby, just throws the baby at him, and then she leaves. So
Right.
now I like to talk this thing out, and this lady, and with a baby in his arms, and then he kept leaving, coming back with the baby, leaving. I'm like, yo, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
Me and this other guy, we kind of know what's going on, but we're like, hey man, look, let's just do whatever we got to do. We'll call the rest of them and get out there. Sure, no big deal. So we get out there, and the other guy goes out first. No big deal. Apparently, I'm coming out last for some strange reason. Well, the guy who kept coming and leaving, he's out second, and he still has his baby in his arms. And I'm looking around like,
Ooh.
so
Yeah.
anybody gonna cook this baby? Anybody gonna cook this baby? So the first guy goes out, music hits, whatever, and I'm like, homie, what you gonna do with this baby? And this guy, and shit me, guy's music hits, and he walks out with the baby in his arms, with the old
Wow.
face, come on, let's go. And I'm sitting here like just dumbstruck, like, he just walk out there with a baby? We're not gonna stop him. He gives the baby off to his girlfriend, whatever. I come out, we do the match. This dude forgets half of it, and now he's just shooting. Like, oh no. I quickly was like, yo, man, roll this kid, like super kick me, roll this kid up, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Backstage, like, yo, what the hell is this? Everybody, best match ever, and I'm like, yo, get me out of here. Yo, get me out of here. The fact that my man showed up with a baby right now, and then he doesn't even know what the finish is. When he is the finish, I'm like, I'm done. I never work for that place ever again. That place anymore. Thank God for that. If there wasn't any tape of it, burn it, please. No one can see that. That's god awful.
Baby was going to super kick someone in that match.
I would. At that rate, it wouldn't have been the strangest thing that happened.
The baby might have gotten more over than anybody else in the match.
I would have put him over. but I got paid them, so whatever.
Yeah.
Paid, so I didn't care.
And you had a story to take with you.
Yeah. Oh man, listen.
I want to throw this out there. I wasn't there to see it, but it was out of an old VHS tape. It was a Royal Rumble, well, like not the Royal Rumble, but indie show. They had a Royal Rumble in the ocean. Like they had the ring in the ocean, and wrestlers would go by in like boats to the ring, and they come back one by one. Then you're eliminated if you get thrown into the water.
Yo, man. Yo, Duck 2 tossed me over, dude. Let's just get over it. Let's get out of here, man. Nah, that's brand new. The engineering alone to keep a ring afloat. Yeah, all right, you got it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, a little bit of history. I'm pretty sure they did that back in like the old days with bare knuckle boxing. Some states wouldn't allow it. It was illegal. So if you had open water, you can do it on a boat in the water because there's no law there.
Hey man, it's a wild, wild west out here, dude.
Well, time was it? A few minutes away from Dynamite. But I put in the link description O'Shea Edwards' pro wrestling tees to make sure to go support his pro wrestling tees. I put the link in the description below.
It should be What a Maneuver. Whatamaneuver.net. That's where all the good stuff is. And some of the stuff that like I don't even keep on the table anymore. From I like my immersive tell a story too. So a lot of times you'll see where I started and then where I'm coming to and where I'm going with it. And it's a fun time. And people are having a good time in collecting shirts. Like, oh man, I remember when this shirt first came out and look at it now. So yeah, it's whatamaneuver.net. Just search O'Shea Edwards, all my stuff comes up.
I'll definitely change that because I found one pro wrestling tees that I think one shirt was on there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, nah. Whatamaneuver.net is where all the good stuff is.
Well, I'll definitely take that out and put that in, but definitely go check that out. like everyone watching. It was great to have you on, O'Shea. Chatting about wrestling history and everything about wrestling, really.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we look forward to having you on sometime in the future. But yeah, it's a real thanks to have you on.
Dude, thanks, man. It's an absolute honor. Like I said, man, I don't think I'm a big deal, dude. So when people are like, "Hey, won't you my podcast?" I'm like, "For real? Me? Okay, here we go."
And O'Shea, where can people, if you got social media, like where can people follow you?
Yeah, man. The big two are going to be Twitter, Big Bad Kaiju, all one word, and then on Instagram, it's Big Bad Kaiju, period after each word. I'm also on not TikTok. Yeah, boy. Same thing. Big Bad Kaiju, period after every word. Just post silly, dumb stuff over there. Gym stuff, sometimes wrestling stuff. TikTok doesn't like wrestling too much, but I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway because it's for me more than anybody else.
I noticed that TikTok doesn't have a lot of wrestling, and I'm always looking. I'm like pro wrestling stuff, pro wrestling, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
pro wrestling hashtag pro wrestling TikTok or wrestling
Yeah.
TikTok. And then now all of a sudden I'm getting like amateur wrestling, which I'm not mad at, but I'm just like, oh, okay, this isn't my audience, but I mean, I'm here now, so let's see what happens.
But yeah, again, thanks for coming on. We look forward
Yes,
to doing
thank
this in
you.
the future sometime.
Of course, I appreciate you boys, man. You guys have a good one. I'm gonna go be a husband and a dad. So y'all have a good one, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Let's see
Thank
ya.
you, O'Shea.